hello there. The Cylon Empire were known for some pretty inventive, state-of-the-art, cutting-edge and incredibly advanced spacecraft. Craft of all descriptions, to be honest. And that extends also to their version of a sort of ATV in space. That would be the Cylon Heavy Raider. Now, what do we know about this ship other than that it is a revolution in troop transport technology compared to anything the Colonials had? And believe me, the Colonial versions, they were pretty damn good, but if we compare the two, they ain't in the same league. The versatility and utility of this craft, like many Cylon technologies, was far in advance of that used by the Colonials. So, what did the Colonials actually have? We had the Colonial Raptor. This was a descendant of a ship still utilized as a sort of holdover from the first Cylon War nearly half a century earlier. Now certainly the Cylon War era version was far less advanced and didn't have a jump drive, but the modern version wasn't many leaps ahead. It had far less range, although it was greater in range than some other small craft and other starships such as civilian vessels, and it was fairly well armed, including the capability of launching nuclear ordnance. All these things were very good. It did have several weaknesses though, notably a human crew. I know that that's kind of a prerequisite for the Colonials. They didn't have the Cylons anymore, but it is something to factor in here. Now jump to the Cylon version, the Cylon Heavy Raider. There's a reason it's given that name. Like the Raptor, it was designed to double as a type of light gunship. It was armed with 2 heavy machine guns and could also carry missiles, again, potentially including nuclear ordnance. The ship had a jump drive that was far more advanced than that of the Colonial version. The vessel itself was a hybrid biomechanical ship with an organic mind controlling it. Like the Raiders, it was semi-sentient, although it's not known if this vessel also retained the resurrection capability that the Raiders had. It was extremely fast with its sublight engines, although it was a little less maneuverable than its Colonial counterpart, and certainly by comparison to the fighters, it was faster, longer range, better armed in general. And without that human crew, it didn't have to worry about G-forces. It was also suicidally aggressive, but that's kind of a Cylon thing in general. It was about 10 meters in length, was known to be very well armored, and was often used as a support craft for some heavier guns when in conjunction with the Raiders. You would often see these vessels escorted. Without the use of these ships, for example, these vessels were instrumental in the Colonial attack along with renegade Cylons against the hub, towing the Colonials vessels into range of the hub in order to destroy it. These ships were very versatile and very useful. They were utilized as both ground assault vessels, transports for both dignitaries on diplomatic missions, as well as military personnel such as Centurions, both in space and on ground. Sorry, try to ignore my neighbour's motorbike there. In other words, deploying troops to the surface, but also used as boarding vessels to, say, board ships such as the Galactica when you wanted to get a few Centurions on board pretty damn fast. The ships were about 10 meters in length and were comparable in a lot of ways to their Colonial counterparts, but in a lot of ways were a superior ship. In my humble opinion, please feel free to disagree with me. The simple observation is, thanks to stagnation of Colonial technologies, because of the fear of technical progression, as Gaius Baltar put it, we shouldn't be afraid of technological development, but we are. I am paraphrasing him here, of course, but what he was basically saying is that because of the Cylon War, humanity had grown afraid of technical advancement, and instead of embracing technological change, had rejected it, meaning, as I said, the Raptors were a holdover from the war. You still had ships that were relics like the Galactica. Now there's something to be said, the Colonials had something to fear, because as they started to embrace technology, like what Gaius Baltar was suggesting, it led to the very weakening of their defences that allowed the Cylons to exploit it. But I'm sorry, but I'm a Baltar excuser on this. He didn't know. How could he have known? I mean, really, how? What was he to done? Yes, he could have not shared state secrets with corporate espionage with the girl he was sleeping with. Yes, not saying he wasn't a douchebag. But he didn't know she was a Cylon. As he put it, the Cylons look like chrome toasters. They didn't look like women and men. They simply didn't. This Raider looks more like how you expect a Cylon to look. It's an autonomous, self-guiding, heavily armed spacecraft with jump capabilities designed to work as both a transport, utility vehicle, and armoured assault craft, all wrapped into one very effective, neat little package. Thanks to the Cylons not having the same fear of technological development, their technology had not stagnated, but it continued to progress, although intrigue and the level of infighting amongst the Cylons had also held them back in certain areas, something I've explored in my videos actually studying the individual model numbers of the Cylons, which, if you've not seen those, go back and watch them. And that is the Cylon Heavy Raider. The name is perhaps a little bit of a misguide. I don't think this ship really classes as a raider. Assault craft, certainly. Transport, definitely. Raider, I think not. Not personally, but you know, they can classify their ships any way they want. These ships were used for great effect during the Cylon War and extermination of humans, particularly after the fall of the colonies. These ships were running rampant all over the 12 colonies of mankind, helping to exterminate what was left of humanity that had managed to escape the nuclear bombing of the planet. They were also used by the Cylons in the pursuit of the colonial fleet, and then later by the renegade Cylons that actually joined the humans, and then what was left of them actually survived all this conflict and went with the last known remaining Cylon-based ship out into the deep void of space. Now we know that ship had no regular raiders left, but it definitely did have some of the heavy raiders. So, you know, there's a future for this ship, and its stories are yet to be told. We don't know what happened to that ship or the remaining Centurions on board it. Whether they simply withered and died, returned to their home base of some description, went looking for other Cylon survivors, or were killed in some other accident or event that ultimately led to their destruction and failure as a species, as we know that humans and Cylons on their own could fail. But that is the ship. Tell me what you think about it in the comments below. Share your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions. Put them all down there if I'm incredibly wrong about the ship being superior, in my opinion, again, to the colonial version. And believe me, I love the colonial ship. It's a beautiful little bird. But I just love the Cylon designs. Sorry. I do. I know they'd nuke me into oblivion if I ever met one, but gotta love the ships. And that is the end of this video. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe, comment down below, hit the bell notification icon if you want to stay up to date with any episodes in this series or from this channel in general, because the bell notification icon is the real subscribe button. But feel free to also hit the subscribe button. I'd just like to say a thank you to everyone for watching that video. I hope you enjoyed it. I really enjoy making these. If you did enjoy it, please consider giving a like, share and the subscribe, and maybe checking out the other videos on the screen right now, and in the description box below there are links to my other social media accounts.